Sup, dudes? I'm 370, and today, rather than actually do a Java tutorial, I figured let's just go straight in and do a Minecraft modding tutorial. That's just gonna be so much fun. So, what you want to do is you're gonna want to install the plugin Gradle. If you don't know how to do that, you want to go to, I think it's Tools. It's been a while since I've done this. So you go to here, I believe. Yeah, you go to Plugins, and you want to go for available plugins, and I think you just search up. Now, since I already have it, it'll be in here. Like, watch. Right there. So, yeah, naturally, it's right there. I have it. If you don't know how to install a plugin, yeah, okay, it's a bit of a pain in the butt. But anyway, what you want to do, you want to type something here. We're gonna call this tutorial. Anyway, you gotta put something here, but we're gonna just call this tutorial mod. That's all great. Now, as you can see, it opens just with this, which is a bit of a pain in the butt. But this is the file you care about. These two, as a matter of fact, you can delete them for a mod. I normally just leave them alone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this, and we're just going to go in here, and we're going to grab its equivalent file. But as you can see, it's a bit different. This is a mod. So we're going to Control A, Control C. We're going to go in here, and we're going to Control A and Control V. Now we're just going to close this up here, and we're just going to go back down to here. All right. So there are a few things you want to do. First things first, there are a few things you want to work with. Version. This is what version your mod is. You can leave it like that. Over here, on the other hand, I normally do net.heroarmy a dot, and then I put the mod ID here. This was just going to be tutorial. And then this is what you'd call the this is where you put the mod ID. Anyway, so the next thing you want to do is you want to highlight this. You want to go to here, and you want to click on this icon here. It's called Clean and Build, and it does some stuff. Yeah, it takes a little while, though. Okay. Now, here's the thing, though. You only have that. So what you want to do is you want to close this file and close NetBeans and take a look at my recording software. And we reopen NetBeans. This is somehow how we do it. It just works like this. Sometimes it does. So I suppose if we hit reload project, yeah, there we go, reload project. That probably works better than opening and closing and reopening NetBeans. That does work, but reload project probably is the better one to go for. So you have 6 folders you want to mess with. You got source packages, you got resources, you got test packages, resources, test. You got dependencies, you got build scripts. Build scripts, you've done the one thing you wanted to do in here, which was this file. You can close that and forget about it. You can completely forget it exists. Dependencies, that's just so the project knows what you can work with. That's where you have pretty much, that's where you can work with, that's so you can work with the actual Minecraft files. And then here we got resources and source packages. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to minimize this because there was something you wanted to download. So I'm just going to show you what it is you wanted to, oh wow, the video's processing, so it should go up in a bit. So anyway, you want to go to Forge. Apparently I was wondering how to install Forge and Optifine at the same time. So when you're in here, what you want to do is you want to go here, you want to go download recommended, you want to install the MDK. You want to click that. It's going to do a whole bunch of add stuff because that's, I'm going to skip, and it's just going to download it. And we're just going to show in folder. We're going to minimize this. We're going to copy this to desktop. And we're going to close that. And I'm actually, because I think this is a newer version than the one I had previously. I'm gonna, where do I have my previous version? There it is. Delete that. This is now my version. So actually in here, all things considered, we're going to go into here. I've been a while since I've done this. I actually need to know what I'm doing. Maybe in here? No. That's not it. This is, by the way, just showing you what you want to do, but I'm going to show you what you... That's the file. So you want to go into here. You want to hit Control-A, Control-C, exit out of that, go back into here, and reopen this file. This is the better way to do it. If you have other mods, you can do what I did earlier, but you want to highlight this and place that in there. And then I believe we're going to want to go back to here. I believe I have it doing that, and I believe I just do net dot hero army, and we're just going to call this tutorial. And then in here, we're just going to call this tutorial. That's all good. However, there is another thing we want to do. We want to have a file within this resources thing. So we're going to open this folder up again. And this is where I need to know where I'm going. So we're going to go to resources, pack.mcmeta. I'm not sure what this is. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to want a pack.mcmeta folder. So we're going to want to copy this, and we're going to actually mess with it in here. So we're going to do new empty file, and we're going to call it pack.mcmeta. And we're just going to place that in place. Now, we're just going to change this to tutorial resources. All resources, including language files, should be completely lowercase. Okay, that's some confusing stuff. But anyway, I'm going to have to change how I do create .lang files. That's good to know. So we're going to Control-C this. We're going to exit out of that because that's all we need to do. And we're going to add in a new empty file. It's going to be mcmod.info. This is yet another file that you're going to want. Now, mod ID, we're going to change this to what we have as our mod ID. Okay, we're going to call this, just going to do this. And we're just going to call this, we're just going to put tutorial here. That's all I really care about. Version, those are just some stuff to mess with. That's not important. That's if this is where, this is so you can link where your mod downloads from. And this is where you put the list of all the authors. I'm just going to list myself in here. Credits, Minecraft will be Mojang, then Forge, and we're just going to put MC Forge in here just because, yeah. Logo file, that is if you want your mod to have a logo. This is for screenshots, and that's for dependencies. Don't need to worry about that right now. So we're done with this. These, by the way, have to be in a JSON format. If you don't know what that is, you're going to quickly learn. And trust me when I say it's not going to be that pleasant. It's really going to be a pain in the butt. So anyway, we're going to go in here, and the same thing you put in the build.gradle file, we're going to put here. And now, we're going to want to create a Java class. Now, we're not going to want to make a Java main class, but they're going to call this main, because this is where pretty much everything will be happening. So first things first, we're going to want to create public static final string version. We're going to set that equal to 1.0.0, and we're going to call this one mod ID, which we're going to set equal to tutorial, like we had in pretty much everywhere else we were doing this. And then mod name will be called tutorial. this is, and then over here, I don't think I've taught annotations in my normal Java tutorials, but here it comes. And then there you go. And then we're going to add import. Add the import. So basically what's happening is this is an annotation. Annotation's really useful. Another one that you're going to become quite familiar with at this point. Actually, a couple of other ones you're going to become quite familiar with are at nullable and at, what's the word? At override. I'll explain those when we get to them. But basically, what this is an annotation. It starts with the at symbol right here, and it goes before declaration of pretty much anything. A class, a method, a variable. They do have specific targets. Basically, what this is saying is... sorry. But basically, this is saying is telling that this is the... telling Minecraft Forge that this right here, this whole file, is the main class of a mod that's supposed to work with Forge. Alright, and I always forget what exactly I'm doing, so we're just going to go in here, which is going to have a bunch of weirdly confusing stuff, such as this compatible versions thing. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about what this is. The things we're going to worry about are these guys. That is something else, which you don't really need to worry about right now. But anyway, what we do need to worry about is the sided proxy, the instance, and the event handler things. So first things first, we're going to do... So first things first, what on earth are we doing with this sided proxy type deal? Well, we're already creating something else. So we're going to call this class proxy. Basically what this class is it allows... Basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to have certain things happen in certain places. For example, some things need to happen on the client side and not the server side, and some things need to happen on the server side and not the client side, and some things need to happen in both. That was a bit of a complicated explanation, but this kind of helps. So this proxy thing here. So we're going to want to create a public void pre-init. Now there's three methods that you need to worry about right now. So pre-init, we're going to want this as its argument. FML pre-initialization event, and we're just going to name it event. You can name it whatever you want, by the way. And we need to add the import. That's all great. Now we're going to put any code that has to do with pre-init. That can be both server-side and client-side, such as initialization of blocks in here. That's all good. And then we're going to public void init. FML initial. You can kind of see where this is going. Event. And you add the import for that. And you can probably guess that there's the third one, and that might be post init. Right? You can name these whatever you want, but it's easier to name them like this so you actually remember what they're doing. I've typed these out plenty of times in the past, so I kind of know what I'm doing. Anyway, so what we've created here is this. There's a couple of other things that you're going to want to create. We'll get to those in a second. Now, there's a couple other files you want to create. We're going to create server proxy. Now this is where you put code that you want to run only on the server side. And it needs to extend the proxy. Now, at the moment, I'm just going to point this out. We don't need to put any code in here. But if we did, what you would do is you'd override one of these and then call the super version of the method. So, just to make things easier, I'm going to show you overriding all three. So we're going to go in here. We're going to copy and paste this because that will make this a lot easier. So we can just import those all at once. And it's saying It's got these weird arrow signs here with a weird down arrow next to them. If you click on them, it says add at override annotation. What this basically means, what basically this says is that this is a method that exists in the parent class here that we're changing its behavior in this class. Now, the thing is that when you override a method, the previous version of the method does not happen. So if you want it to happen, which we do in this case, because if something on the server side now with this, it's not going to execute any of the code that's going on here, which is going to cause some problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to call super.preinit in this method. In this method, we're going to call super.init. And in here, we're going to call super.postinit. That's all good. Now that sign tells you it's been overridden in a subclass somewhere. So we're also going to create a client proxy class, because this is stuff that needs to happen on the client side. And trust me, with a mod, you're going to have stuff that happens only on the client side. That's just a fact. Because, well, the server doesn't need to know what on earth the blocks and entities and items look like, because the server's not rendering them for people to look at. Only the clients need to see that. So it only needs to happen client side. So we're just going to, again, Control V all these. We're going to add in the override annotations. And then we're going to call this super.preinit. This is just basically the same thing. This is the most annoying part of making your mod, outside of trying to make fluids, which I still haven't figured out. I'm actually still kind of learning some stuff, so I'm teaching some of the more basic stuff that I can code in my sleep. Blocks, how to actually make the mod run. So now we've got all of this. And trust me when I say that this stuff, we're going to be revisiting these files more. Okay, so now we want to do @cited proxy. And we're going to do public static proxy. And we're not going to initialize it. You see it's not initialized here. Why? Because Forge will actually initialize for it. So we have client side and server side. We want to tell this annotation so that Forge knows what we're doing. Client side equals, and we need to figure out where it is. So it's net.heroarmy.tutorial.clientproxy. All right, that's easy. net.heroarmy.tutorial.clientproxy. That's the client side. But we also need to specify where the server side is, which, you guessed it, is just this. And just so you know, this annotation basically causes Forge to initialize this for you. So don't need to worry about anything. There's two other things we need to do. We need to create an instance of your mod, and then we need to create these three methods. So this logger, by the way, is just a thing that exists that is helpful for doing output. Anyway, public static proxy. So we're going to do @mod.instance. There are a few other things in here. We have event bus subscriber, event handler, custom property, instance factory, and metadata. Some of those I don't know what they do, but I think I might know what event bus subscriber might be. Anyway, @mod.instance, we're going to have public static main instance. Basically what this is the instance of the mod. It will initialize it using a default constructor, and then we can just do this @mod.eventhandler public void preinit. This is the fourth time we've had to create a method called preinit. Trust me when I say it is a pain in the butt. No, it's not FML. It's pre-initialization event. And then we want to add the import for that. Seriously. Like I said, this is the most pain in the butt part of the thing. Also, we can close that because I won't need to refer to it again. And then we go in here and we do event dot. That's a whole bunch of stuff. We don't care about that right now. But we do proxy dot pre-init, and we pass the event to that method. So that you can read whatever it feels like from the event. Anyway. But there's more. Public void init. Basically, the annotation is telling Forge what to do, what are the three stages of the three events that are the stages of initialization, and the argument in the constructor tells them which one's which. So this is all important format stuff. I don't know how Forge has that all set up. I don't really need to know, because that would probably be even more complicated than my brain can handle. Or maybe I just go in, I'm just like, oh, that makes sense. But anyway. But, yep, then we got post in it, and we got FML. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're guessing. You're just like, yeah, I get this. When are we going to get to something interesting? Trust me when I say, you're going to thank me for doing this, because otherwise you'd just be completely lost. So, there you go. And then, of course, proxy.postInit. Now, are we done yet? No. No, we're close to being done. By the way, did you know that you can replace vanilla recipes in mods now? That's all great. I'm not really going to talk about how to do that. Anyway, oh, this thing's done uploading. I'm going to close that. Next, we want to look at, so we've got the main, we've got these three files. Let's determine what's doing what. So basically, this will run on both the server side and the client side of the thing. On the server side, it will run using this class, the code in this class, and on the client side, it will run using the code in this class. Now, at this point, sure, double check that, make sure that these all call to super, because basically what this is, you put any code that in here that's common to both the server and the client. So initialization of blocks, entities, and other things. Anything that you just come up with custom mechanics. Which is a bit complicated, but anyway. But anyway, that's all good. And I suppose the next thing we want to do is we want to go back into here and back into here, because there's a couple of other things that we want to do, and I'll show you what we're doing here, so that, just so you know, there's a whole bunch of weird stuff happening in this. I don't really think I can explain it, but these are the equivalent files, so we want to do this method in here, and this. Also, yes, you can do potions and enchantments, but these are the ones you're probably going to want. Items and blocks, but potions and enchantments are pretty much anything. So, let's close up both of these, because we don't care about those. So in here, we want to go down here. We want to create something with the annotation @subscribe event. And we want to add the import for that, because we're going to need that. Public static, and this should be static, public static void init blocks. And trust me when I say it's better to initialize the blocks before the items, because item blocks are a thing, and so which are items which contain blocks as a field, so you're going to want to initialize the blocks before you initialize those. Doesn't matter what order you put them in here, but Forge will do them in that order. So in here, we're going to want to make the argument to be registry event dot register, and we want to put these right here. That's something that's kind of complicated. Now, we want to import specifically net.minecraft.block.block. That's what we want to import. Basically, what this event is the event where all the blocks get registered. Not where they get created, because you're going to put that in there. This is where they get registered so that Forge has them and will use them. And then at subscribe event. These are the two that you're going to want to have at all times. Public static void init items. We're going to call this registry event dot register, and we're going to put in here item, and we're going to call it event. And then we want to add the import for item, net.minecraft.item.item. All right. Now, just so you know, you're going to want to figure out a way to look at the vanilla code of Minecraft at some point in this. Now, in here, we're going to have at subscribe event. Seriously, you're going to get tired of seeing all sorts of stuff like this. But anyway, public static void register mod. Actually, I don't think these should be called init. They should be called register. I just realized, because they're not initializing them. Yeah, bad info. Anyway, then we're gonna want, this is the argument. We're gonna want a model registry event. We're gonna call it event because we're calling all these events as the argument. Now this needs to happen on the client side, which Forge will run it on the client side only. But just to be sure, and you can have multiple annotations for this, so we're gonna have at side only, and we're gonna put in here side.client. And we're gonna add the imports for both of them. And basically what that tells Forge is that this should not happen. This should only happen on the client side, not the server side. Now, the model registry event, Forge only does that on the client side already. But it's good to get in the habit of putting this where you only want things to be happening client side. Just simple fact. So now, these are all good, but you're just like, great, can I make blocks now? Answer is, yeah, you can. You actually can. If you know, just one thing. You're going to want to know some things. How to create. So, let's save that until next time. We're going to create a basic block and a basic item. And by the way, there's going to be a few things that are kind of outdated when I get to this. This is kind of a bad time to start it because 1.13 is going to be changing a lot of the system. But I get the feeling that some of it actually is going to stay kind of the same. There's just going to be a lot that's different. Just pointing that out. But thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button, share it if you liked it, and subscribe for the content. And be sure to have a lovely day. Bye.